Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Connecticut Department of Transportation and the Town of Ellington, I would like to welcome you all for attending this public informational meeting for State Project Number 47-120, replacement of bridge number 06141, located on Strawberry Road over Abbey Brook in the Town of Ellington. My name is Preeti Bardwaj, and I am the project manager assigned to this project. We appreciate your willingness to participate in this forum virtually, and we ask that you bear with us tonight as this virtual forum is still relatively new for all of our team. I will now explain how you will be able to interact with the project team. There are three means of how you will be able to communicate. By email, which is dotproject00470-0120@ct.gov. And I will also spell that. It is dotproject00470-0120@ct.gov. You can also call in by telephone. The number is 860-944-1111. Again, 860-944-1111. Or you can also communicate by chat on the MS Teams live event chat. In this format, you can ask a question by clicking on the little question mark, which shows Q&A. This will bring up your live event Q&A field. Select the Ask a Question button at the bottom right screen and a field will pop up. And you can type your question and hit either Enter with a little arrow button to send, or you can also check the box on the bottom to post your question anonymously if you prefer. There will be a slight delay, but eventually your question will appear in the featured section with all other questions that are asked tonight. The project email, phone, and chat will be screened by the project team during the Q&A session, and the questions asked by any of these three methods will be posted to the MS Teams Q&A chat window. The questions will be asked out loud for the project team to answer. You can ask questions at any time during the presentation, but we will answer these during the live Q&A session that follows. We also have the project web link, where the recording of tonight's entire presentation, including the Q&A session, will be stored. The web page will also contain the same information that I have previously explained on how to provide comments and ask a question. And that project web page is /portal.ct.gov/dot Ellington 47-120. And I will spell that out. It is /portal.ct.gov/dot Ellington 47-120. And lastly, please remember the comment period to ask questions or provide comments will be open through October 8th, 2020 via either email or by telephone. So if you think of a question after tonight's meeting or want to expand on a question asked tonight, you will have until October 8th to do so. The MS Teams chat function is only available during tonight's live Q&A session. We would greatly appreciate it if you could fill out the demographic survey the department has through SurveyMonkey. This is only the fourth or fifth virtual public informational meeting that the department has hosted, and for our project team, this is our first. This survey will help the department improve these public meetings going forward. There's also a civil rights flyer available. Both the links to the survey and the civil rights flyer are located on the previously mentioned project webpage. And lastly, I am required to read the following statement as part of the Title VI Civil Rights Act. That is, that no person shall, on the basis of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this project. I would now like to go over some of tonight's goals. I will be explaining how this project is funded in the Federal Local Bridge Design Managed by the State, or DMS program. We will be having welcoming remarks by Mr. Timothy Webb, Public Works Director from the town of Ellington. I will then introduce the project design team. That includes the department's front office leadership, the department's bridge consultant design team, and the consultant liaison engineer design team. The consultant liaison engineers will then give a technical presentation of the design, which will include the background of the project, condition of the existing structure, purpose and need for the project, and recommend a viable design proposal, which has been completed to around 30%. As part of the department's public outreach program, it is at this point we reach out to you, while it is still early in the design process, to receive any comments and concerns, and also to answer any questions. We will also have a representative from the department's right-of-way office to explain the rights-of-way process. And lastly, we will have a live question and answer session. I would now like to explain how this project is being funded. This bridge is a town-owned bridge and is being funded under the department's Federal Local Bridge program. Traditionally in this program, the town selects a designer, and because federal funds are involved, the department provides administrative oversight because the department is considered to be stewards of those federal funds. The funding is traditionally 80% federal and 20% town for the design, rights-of-way, and construction phases of the project. However, this project is going to be funded under the department's newly launched DMS, or Design Managed by the State program. In this program, it will be the department who will be performing the design on behalf of the municipality, utilizing our consultant liaison engineers who are Close Jensen and Miller, or CJM, on this project. CJM has completed the 30% preliminary design, and it will be brought to final design completion by one of our pre-selected task-based designers. In addition, the design phase only will now be funded with 80% federal and 20% state funds, so the entire design phase is at zero cost to the town of Ellington. Although the 30% preliminary design was performed by the department, it was in full partnership and coordination with the town of Ellington. We have held several meetings with the town and diligently worked together to incorporate most of the town's comments and concerns. And now we are reaching out to you, the community, to also weigh in. The initiative behind the DMS program was to expedite design delivery for municipal projects. The DMS program uses a streamlined design approach where we are able to utilize full departmental resources and are able to internally perform design tasks concurrently rather than linearly. In this program, we are able to cut down the typical design time by a half and bring these projects to construction quicker, which is enabling the department's goal to keep our town bridges in a perennial state of good repair. Also, the department is able to offer expertise on accelerated bridge construction techniques, or ABC, which are routinely used on state projects. And now that knowledge will also be available for town projects. ABC techniques are also being employed on the Strawberry Road Bridge. The department is pleased to be able to offer this program to the town of Ellington. The DMS program is spending your municipal and state tax dollars efficiently and effectively, and at the same time fostering great working relationships with our municipal partners. And with that, I'll now hand it over to the town of Ellington.
Good evening and welcome to the virtual public informational meeting, VPIM, concerning the Strawberry Road Bridge replacement. I am Tim Webb, Director of Public Works, WPCA Administrator for the town of Ellington. This structure has been deemed structurally deficient in need of replacement following biannual inspections by the state. This evening, the State Department of Transportation will outline the proposed bridge replacement project. Traditionally, the town would have selected and hired a consultant to develop the design, and they would have been responsible for navigating through the design process, with the town covering 20% of the design cost. As Pretty mentioned, when the Department of Transportation offered the design managed by state program to the town, we felt it was a win-win solution for the town, since the state's pre-selected consultants would have better knowledge with the design process, resulting in both an early completion of design and construction. We started meeting with the state in June of 2019 to obtain an understanding of how the program worked and how it would benefit the town. After several more meetings with the state, the town recognized that this program would be a good joint effort and agreed to go forward with it, signing the contract in September of 2019. While the design efforts have been led by the state, they have kept us in the loop on all aspects of the project, including providing us with various technical alternatives, their pros and cons, and recommendations. Residents bordering this project have already worked with the town and have provided permanent drainage easements. At that time, the temporary construction easements were also approved, along with the relocation of the water line by the Connecticut Water Company. However, due to the time lapse, the temporary construction easements have expired. The State Department of Transportation Right-of-Way Division will be reaching out to those properties to renew those temporary easements and ensure that they meet the project area needs. Again, thank you for tuning in, and I will now turn this VPIM over to the state DOT representatives.
I would now like to introduce the project team. I am Preeti Bardwaj, the project manager shown in the center. To my left are the department's front office leadership, which includes Mr. Bart Sweeney, Division Chief of Bridges, and Mr. Robbie Barakat, Principal Engineer. To my right are Mr. James Barrows, Project Engineer, and Mr. Dennis McDonald from the department's Office of Rights of Way. The consultant liaison engineers who have brought this project to 30% design completion are Close Jensen and Miller. And from CJM, we have Mr. Mike Brady, project manager, and Mr. Andy Shepard, senior engineer. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are finally ready to present our technical portion of the presentation, and you will be hearing a lot of bridge lingo throughout the presentation. Therefore, I am about to give you a 2-minute crash course on some of the structural elements on a bridge and the numerical condition rating system assigned on a bridge. The type of structure that CJM will be proposing at this location is a precast concrete rigid frame. This is an elevation view shown, or a view if you were standing in the brook and looking at the bridge. The deck is the riding surface of the bridge. The rail prevents errant vehicles from going off the bridge. The precast concrete rigid frame and the deck make up what is known as the superstructure of a bridge. The superstructure is designed to support vehicular loads, the self-weight of a bridge, and any environmental loads such as wind, seismic, etc. The concrete footings and the wing walls and piles make up what is known as the substructure of a bridge. The substructure not only supports the superstructure, but also helps in transmitting loads from the superstructure down to the bridge foundations and eventually down to the ground. All state bridges and town bridges over 20 feet in length are inspected every 2 years by the department's Bridge Safety and Evaluation Unit and are assigned a condition rating on the major elements on a scale of 1 to 9, with 9 being excellent condition and 1 being imminent failure condition. When a major bridge element reaches a 4 or poor condition, that is when we start to initiate a project to address the structural deficiencies. Now that you are armed with basic bridge knowledge, I would now like to introduce Mr. Andy Shepard, Senior Design Engineer at CJM, who will be presenting the technical portion of the presentation.
Thank you, Pretty. I will now be going over the existing structure and the deterioration occurring, as well as the proposed replacement project. So I'm sure most know the structure is located in a residential neighborhood about 1/3 of a mile west of Route 83 or Summers Road. Here's an aerial view, and again, as most know, the area is totally residential with an apartment complex just to the east of the structure. The existing structure was built in 1940 and is a triple cell corrugated steel arch culvert with reinforced concrete end walls. The structure is 22 feet long with a 30-foot curb-to-curb width and grass shoulders on either side. The average daily traffic, or the ADT, is about 103 vehicles per day, and that's from the 2019 inspection report. Currently, there are isolated random longitudinal and transverse cracks all along the deck surface. The photos here show typical approach deck conditions, which you can see have been repaired, but continue to show signs of cracking. The culvert barrels are all experiencing cracking and a loss of the asphalt coating and subsequent corrosion of the exposed steel. There's also a separation of the interior joints of the culvert barrels, as well as a downward deflection. And due to these items, the culvert is given a rating of 4 or poor, which classifies the structure as currently structurally deficient. Here you can better see the headwall conditions and the severity of the cracks and the deflection that is occurring. Due to the deterioration described, a bridge replacement was considered the most appropriate option. The project consists of replacing the existing culvert with a single-span precast concrete 3-sided rigid frame on a pile-supported foundation. The structure will have a 32-foot clear span and a 30-foot curb-to-curb width consisting of 2 15-foot travel lanes. This drawing shows the proposed elevation view, and you can see the existing culvert barrels here in gray and the proposed structure with railing in orange and yellow. As I said previously, the proposed bridge will have 2 15-foot travel lanes, as well as the grass walkways or grass shoulders on either side, similar to the existing structure. The top slab of the culvert will be a 6-inch shear slab with membrane waterproofing and a 3 inches of bituminous surface. The section view here just gives you another look at the proposed structure itself. The proposed span length allows for the pile-supported foundation to be constructed behind the existing culvert structure, which aids in construction. The plan view here just shows you an overview of the entire project area. And like I said, the grass walkways will be maintained, and you can see the proposed structure here in orange, as well as the pavement and the deck approach work in yellow. This is the proposed roadway profile, or the height of the roadway, and it is slightly different than existing. The proposed profile was flattened a bit just to meet design standards, and to do this, the low point of the bridge was relocated off of the structure onto the eastern side, and this caused a need for new drainage basins to be constructed on that side. Existing utilities that are on the structure can be seen here, and that includes the water main here in blue, the electrical line in red, and the telephone or the communication lines in green. During construction, the underground electric and communication conduits here will be temporarily relocated downstream of the structure, and after construction, the utilities will be supported with a cast-in-place concrete utility bank on the northernmost grass shoulder of the structure. The existing water main is to remain in place as it is deep enough so that it won't be interfered with during construction. To be able to build a structure over water, the water handling scheme is developed. In stage 1 of water handling, flow diversion devices will direct flow to the 2 eastern culvert pipes seen here, while the western pipe is removed and channel work is completed up to the western abutment. In stage 2, the flow will be diverted around the 2 eastern pipes while they're removed and the rest of the channel work is completed. After each stage, the work to shape the actual channel to the face of the frame legs is completed in sequence with the installation of each segment of the rigid frame. For ease of construction and due to the low traffic, we're proposing to close the structure for about 4 months during construction and provide a detour around the site. Detour here is about 2.1 miles and uses Blueberry Circle, Egypt Road, Hoffman Road, and Route 83 or Summers Road, as well as back to Strawberry Road. Proposed rights-of-way will consist of temporary and permanent impacts. This consists of minor property acquisitions in the form of a permanent take or permanent easement for the roadway or structural features resulting from the slight widening of the bridge on either side. Temporary construction easements will be required at all 4 corners for construction as well as for the in-water work. Construction is anticipated to begin in the spring of 2022 based on availability of funding, acquisitions of rights-of-way, and the approval of all the permits. An estimated cost for the project is approximately $1,580,000 to be undertaken with 80% federal and 20% municipal funds.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dennis McDonald, and I'm a representative from the Connecticut Department of Transportation, Division of Rights-of-Way. Tonight, I will be providing a general overview of the right-of-way process. The function of the Division of Rights-of-Way is to acquire all property and property rights necessary for the project. This is done in accordance with Connecticut General Statute Section 13873, 13898E, as well as the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Property Acquisition Policies Act of 1970 as amended. Based on the current design, the proposed property impacts are limited to construction easements. Of course, this is subject to change as the design progresses. Once property impacts have been established, each impacted property owner will receive a letter of intent to acquire along with a property acquisition map. The letter essentially initiates the right-of-way process, and the map provides a detailed overview of the specific right-of-way impacts. Soon after the letter is received, the valuation process will take place, and once a value has been established, each impacted property owner will receive a written offer of compensation. Property owners will be given time to consider the offer and negotiate should they wish. If an agreement is reached, an acceptance document will be signed, and a closing will take place at a later date. If an agreement is not reached for whatever reason, the state will utilize its power of eminent domain and acquire the property rights through the condemnation process. Now, I understand this has a negative connotation, but many times this is done to keep a project on schedule. If the state elects to pursue eminent domain, the original offer is deposited in the court system, and property owners can continue negotiations or file a formal appeal for a reassessment of damages through the court system. Please note all appeals must be filed within 6 months from the date in which the state files for eminent domain. And that is all I have for tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dennis. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes our technical portion of the presentation. I would like to thank everyone on my design team and everyone behind the scenes who helped put this live event together. We are going to leave the Q&A session information on the screen for your benefit, and we will be answering any questions that came in during the presentation and answer any questions that will come in during the live Q&A session. Once again, we would like to remind everyone to please visit the project website to participate in the survey pertaining to tonight's event, or ask additional questions, or view project plans and information. For those of you listening on the phone, the project website is again /portal.ct.gov/DOT Ellington 47-120. So with that, we are now going to start the live question and answer session. We will take as many questions as we can. Feel free to use that chat feature or call in by phone. The number is again 860-944-1111, or by email. The address is dotproject0047-0120@ct.gov. The comment period is again open until October 8th. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we have a bunch of questions. I'm going to start with the first question that I see. And the question is, you indicated that a guide rail system will be put on the bridge. Can you show us what it would look like? CJM, can you please take this first question? And I do believe that we have a photo that we can share.
Yeah, pretty. We're going to try to share that photo right now. Let's see if we can get it up. Well, while the picture's loading, basically the timber guide rail will be comprised of steel posts that are driven into the ground that will run along the proposed bridge and will protect vehicles from going into the river on either the upstream or downstream side. The guide rail itself will have steel posts, like I said, in the ground, and then they'll have a large timber rail that'll run along the edge of roadway, and it'll be the strength of the timber rails will be increased with a steel backing on them, thus the name steel back timber guide rail.
So, okay, here we go. Sorry for the slight delay here.
So yes, so here you can see, as I was saying, the steel post in the ground with the timber that is connected to each steel post, and then it'll run along the riding surface as shown here in this picture. This is just an example. This is another project that we had out in the town of Southbury. But this is the exact crash test rated system that we'll be using on this bridge. Okay. Thank you very much. And by the way, that was Mike Brady, our project manager for Close, Jensen and Miller, who answered that question. Thank you very much, Mike, and sorry about the delay with getting the picture up. I have another question. Can the culverts be rehabilitated instead of being replaced? CJM, can you please take that question as well?
Yes, hi, thank you. This is Andy Shepard from Close, Jensen and Miller, and we did look into a rehab option, but we found that there were a few things that made the replacement a better option, like the service life or how long the structure is going to last is a lot longer with a brand new structure. For this structure, it is about 75 to 100 years. Also, rehab on a culvert consists of relining the inside of the culvert barrels, which means that there's a smaller opening for the water to go through, and that means that more permits are required and the design time would be extended. There's also some pretty bad cracking that's going on the concrete head walls that would be pretty difficult to just rehab.
Okay, thank you very much, Andy. We have another question. The underground water main looks like it will be in conflict with the piles that are supporting the bridge foundations. How will this be addressed? CJM, can you please take that question?
Yes, so the piles themselves are going to be placed around the water main. So essentially they'll be sort of framing the water main. And obviously during construction and everything, we will double check where everything is and make sure that nothing is going to be affected.
Thank you, Andy. Okay, we have the following email question was received. Is the detour going to take place during the school season? And if so, how will school buses be affected? CJM, would you like to start off on that question? And Tim Webb from the town of Ellington, would you like to also add to that question if you want to? But we'll start with CJM.
All right. Yeah, construction is anticipated to start in the spring of 2022. So it's more than likely that the detour will occur for a portion of the school season, but that'll be coordinated with the town, obviously, to ensure the least amount of impact to anybody.
Yes, this is Tim Webb, Director of Public Works, Town of Ellington. We've worked closely with the Board of Ed and the school bus company to ensure that whatever needed to be done, and advise the community residents that need bus transportation that if there is any delays, we'll work around it.
Okay, thank you very much. We have another question. Is pedestrian access going to be allowed for the crossing the bridge during the detour? CJM, will you please take that question?
Yep. So pedestrians will be able to cross up until the existing structure is removed, obviously, and construction starts. Unfortunately, the cost of installing a temporary pedestrian bridge or to add access is extremely high and doesn't really necessarily appear warranted here.
Okay. We have another question. It is, will I maintain access to my driveway during the detour? Can we have CJM answer that question, please?
Of course, all driveway access is going to be maintained throughout the duration of the project. You can see here on the screen, none of the driveways will be affected. We'll make sure to keep any work away from that so you have total access.
Great. Thank you, Andy. We have another question. Will the new bridge receive aesthetic treatments to make it fit in with the surrounding environment? CJM, will you please take that question?
So again, we're working with the town to make sure that the proposed structure fits in similar to what the existing one looks like, but because the existing structure is fairly simple aesthetically, we're pretty much just keeping that appearance while still trying to maintain and meet the various design standards, like the bridge rail that needs to be added.
Okay. Thank you, Andy. We have another question. The following phone question was received. How long is the detour route, and can you please show it again? CJM, can you please pull that up and answer that question?
There we go. Yes, so the detour is about 2.1 miles or about 5 minutes all around, and it includes Blueberry Circle, Egypt Road, Hoffman Road, Summers Road or Route 83, and obviously Strawberry Road itself.
Okay. Thank you, Andy. So we're currently waiting for more questions. While we're waiting for questions, I would like to remind you again, this whole presentation, including the Q&A session, will be recorded and will be posted to YouTube following the event, and closed captioning will be made available at that time. The recording will also be made available on the list of virtual public meetings on the link shown on the project webpage. Okay, I think we just got another question in. The question is, has stage construction been looked into? CJN, can you please take that question?
Yes. So we did look into the stage construction, but we determined that it wasn't going to work for this project because of cost. And that has to do with the water handling and the additional construction time also required to maintain the whole roadway embankment and the culvert fills during each separate phase of the construction efforts.
Okay. And I think we just got another question, or I may have skipped one that we had gotten earlier. What are going to be the work hours during construction, and is night work anticipated? CJM, can you please take that question?
So work hours are pretty much going to be normal business hours, and no night work or weekend work is really anticipated.
And just to on that, this is my will be the times days have not been decided on yet. That is something that we will meet and discuss with the town further into design, and we'll figure out a range of hours that the contractor will be allowed to work during the day, and of which days they will be allowed to work during the week. Sometimes it's a Monday through Friday. Other towns allow possible Saturday work, but all of that will be vetted out as we proceed through final design.
Okay, thank you, Mike. We have another question. Has the town secured the necessary funding for the bridge replacement? Tim, from the town, can you please take that question?
Yes, currently at the estimate for the bridge at 1.5 mil, we would need to come up with 20% of the funding. Set aside already, we have the 20% over the past 3 years plus. We've set aside funds in our local bridge capital program, and currently we have the funds available to cover the 20%.
Great, thank you. Okay, it looks like we're slowing down, ladies and gentlemen, on the questions. We can give it another half a minute or so. If you think of anything, we'll just wait. And again, I would like to remind you, please don't hesitate to call in. The phone number is again 860-944-1111. Or again, that email address is dotproject0047-0120@ct.gov. Okay, it looks like we're not getting any more questions in for this evening. So I'm going to take this opportunity to start wrapping up. Before I do, I would like to encourage you to take the survey. The link is shown in the chat box, in the Q&A chat box. For those of you that are watching on YouTube, the survey is below the video. We really would appreciate it if you would fill it out. It will help us improve this virtual meeting experience in the future. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the department and the town of Ellington, I would like to thank you for joining us tonight. And we hope that you found the meeting and the presentation to be informative and that we were able to answer all of your questions. All of us on the design team and the town of Ellington are always available to answer any questions, even outside of the comment period. We are also available to meet with you individually on the project site if you so desire. Thank you once again and have a wonderful evening.